It was the clarion call to a new way of doing news.
Britain saw the birth of what would become a television and newsreading institution.
For Western Lead. Good evening.
The BBC strike is over. They'll... Good evening. The Queen's speech. Good evening. America buys 300 Hawks. Good evening.
An Irish court. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hattersley says Labour's... Good evening.
From the headquarters of ITN, News at 10, with Trevor McDonald.
Major seas recovery. Good evening.
From the headquarters of ITN, News at 10, with Julia Somerville.
MP's plan. Good evening.
From the headquarters of ITN, News at 10, with Trevor McDonald.
A bar. Good evening.
From ITN, News at 10, with Trevor McDonald.
50 years on it. Good evening.
From ITN, News at 10, with Trevor McDonald.
Hague and the law. Good evening.
Jill Dando shot dead. Was it an underworld killing? Tributes from colleagues, friends and relatives tonight. Now Yugoslav Deputy PM threatens street demonstrations. Bradford and Bingley members vote to take the money.
From ITN, the ITV Nightly News, with Dermot Monaghan.
Extraordinary test tube couple spark an international row. High alert in Belfast after a night of rioting. Anger of soap star's wife outside court. And Africa enjoys its own spectacular eclipse.
From ITN, the ITV News at 10 with Trevor MacDonald.
Byers gets Blair's support after his public fight back. Alarm tonight over suspected case of foot and mouth. Celebrations to welcome home Britain's golden girls. And Will, stars of the Queen's Jubilee concert.
The ITV News at 10 with Trevor MacDonald.
Battles rage, leaving heavy casualties on both sides.
They're all now flying the white flag.
American prisoners paraded in breach of the Geneva Convention. And Baghdad on the edge as America and Britain close in.
The ITV News at 9 with Trevor MacDonald in Kuwait.
Just how many The Education Secretary is under growing pressure tonight after admitting several registered sex offenders have been cleared to work in schools. Also tonight, dicing with death. Good evening. Blair's new offer to Iran: stop supporting terror or face isolation. It comes as the They're international outcasts condemned as sponsors of state terrorism. Now Tony Blair wants to engage the leaders of Iran and Syria in a desperate attempt to resolve the deepening and bloody conflict in Iraq. Also tonight, hard cash.
The man Diana wanted. Hasnat Khan has remained silent about his affair with the princess for 10 years. Tonight he speaks to us. As Paul Burrell tells the inquest, he spoke to a priest about a private wedding.
Also on News at 10.
Good evening. News at 10 is back tonight with an exclusive interview with Hasnat Khan.
£4 million. For the second day running, News at 10 has managed to speak to the Chandlers, this time to Rachel, who broke down as she said she and her husband Paul were bearing up.
Also on the programme, sacked tonight, who needs £500,000 for cancer treatment in America.
Good evening. Candid Cameron, the Prime Minister provokes a diplomatic row by accusing Pakistan of exporting terror. He made the comment.
This is the ITV News at 10 with Mark Austin and Mary Nightingale.
Strong.
Predatory and pervasive, the appalling
This is the ITV News at 10 with Alistair Stewart and Natasha Kaplinsky.
The Crown prosecutes.
We have startling pictures tonight from the beaches of Greece. 2,000.
This is ITV News at 10 with Tom Bradby.
Good evening. For year after year, we've been told by...
This is ITV News at 10 with Tom Bradby.
Good evening.